Today we're replacing alternator on a Promaster 3.0 diesel. There's not a lot of room, so you gotta either take the axle off and the intermediate shaft needs to come off, which I found it to be not very easy job. So I found another way, and that is taking these two bolts off from the flange, right, on your SCR catalyst, and taking your injector for your diesel exhaust fluid, taking that injector out, okay, and it just goes up, and now you got plenty of room. The hangers needs to come off just from the front. These two, one here, one up there, and then you can push and make a nice room for the alternator to slide out. You might want to get new gasket for the injector. You can try clean it up, and as you drive, once in a while check, make sure the diesel exhaust fluid is not leaking through here if you're not going to replace the gasket. I highly recommend replacing the gasket though, so you don't have to deal with it. On the flange there's a gasket as well, steel. So you might want to get a new gasket as well for the flange. I'm not going to replace it. I'm going to use copper sprayer gasket. Alright? Back in the day I used to use this for cylinder head. For the cylinder head gasket, I used it on exhaust manifold gasket. So you can reuse only steel gaskets, you can reuse with this stuff. It works pretty good. Alright, you gotta let it dry for maybe 5 minutes, and then I'll spray the other side. Also, when you have the injector out, now is a good time to clean it inside the exhaust. There's a deposit from the diesel exhaust fluid, so you want to clean those out, because once in a while those deposits will cause a restriction, and then you'll end up with the codes and expensive repair bills. So we're gonna keep the hole clean and also keep the injector clean. The easiest way to do this injector is remove this bolt completely, and then you need to take the clamp off completely. So you need to spread the clamp out a little bit using your screwdriver, and then when you put it back in, put the clamp in first, then put the injector there. It can only go one way. It's got a little notch in there, so you gotta be a little patient and find the proper notch so the injector goes in the right place. And then with pliers you squeeze the clamp. You can see it's got a little clip, so it goes in the proper place. Now that it's clipped in, you can put the bolt in there easily. Sometimes the clamp gets bent and it won't hold on its own. The notch will not engage, so it's a little tricky to put in. Alright, I got it threaded in, and now we just torque it not too tight. I would say about 10 Newton meters, and we're good there. These two bolts tight. Don't forget the gasket. So after we have the alternator belt back on, now it's time to put the AC belt on, which is a stretch belt, so it doesn't have a tension. So you need a special tools. You need a special tool to turn the crankshaft, because there's no room to put a socket there. So you need special tool for that. So you can turn the engine with the belt positioned over the AC pulley, and with a special tool that will force the belt to go on as you turning the pulley. I tried it many times unsuccessfully on this vehicle, even with the special tool, and that's because, as you can see, the tool is supposed to go in the groove, but because of the AC pulley is a little thicker than regular pulleys, it doesn't go in. You can see it here on this crankshaft pulley. It goes nicely in the groove. So we're not gonna use the tool for this vehicle. What I'm gonna do is loosen up the AC. So I'm gonna take 1, 2, 3 bolts. I'm gonna take them out. I'm gonna put the belt on, and then I'm gonna put the bolts in. And as I'm tightening the bolts, that will tighten up the belt. So that's the fastest way it works for me. You just gotta take your time. It's gonna take a little bit of your strength. Alright, so the easy part is done. I got the belt on. Now I gotta position the AC compressor, force it over the holes, and catch the bolts. Alright, so it's not easy, but if you find a good size screwdriver, so it goes in the hole as a guide, right? Then you push on the compressor with the screwdriver in place. That kind of guides it, otherwise the compressor will be sliding off all over the place. So, screwdriver in the bottom hole. Then you push on the compressor to line up the rear hole and run the bolt. Alright? Don't tighten it, just snug it and get the rest of the 2 bolts, the top one and then the bottom one. And the belt is nice and tight, and it's on without using any tools. And once you got all 3 bolts in, just torque them to about 12 pounds. Yeah, make sure you don't over tight it, because the aluminum thread is not as strong as a steel thread. So make sure you use your torque wrench.